Now I'm recording on the computer, and yes, I'm so
Everything
excited.
works. There you go.
It's been weeks. So I was telling Ilhiana this morning that it had been weeks that I had been trying to that's just why I upgraded my Zoom, was so that I could do the webinar Zoom thing, record it for the YouTube and for my website. But I also wanted to stream it live so that people on Facebook would be able to join the conversation and see it live, right? So every week they said, oh, just do this, you'll be fine. Oh, just do this, you'll be fine. And every week I did it, and it didn't work, and it didn't work. So yesterday I wasn't going to let it go, and I stayed on with Zoom for quite some time. This happens, right? Like, that is, I understand, such a frustration for so many entrepreneurs who are trying to do everything on their own. They're like, oh, I will just hop on and do this. And then you're like, oh, it didn't work. And now you're an hour with customer service. And now you got to go pick up your kids at the bus stop or make the dinner or whatever. So today, I always in the morning, I'm like, what will I talk about today before I introduce my amazing guest? So today what I wanted to do was share with you, often, sometimes, sometimes you just have to shut your phone off and then start it again. Sometimes if things are just not working on your computer, you might have to clear your cache. And if you call customer service, they're going to be like, oh, did you clear your cache? And you're going to be like, I don't know. But now you're going to know. So here's the thing. I'm going to share my screen. And here's how you clear your cache on both of my things. So here.
That's going to be good for me. So I need
so good. So let's see. I think you're seeing a Facebook page now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is on Chrome. And on Chrome, this is hard to see because I have a light background. But if you're on Chrome and you go all the way to the right, there's those 3 dots, right? I always love the 3 dots to see what's happening. So you go to 3 dots, and you can go to history, and you can see what your history is. But you can go here to more tools. That's what she said, but that might not have been it. Clear, yep. And then it's clear browsing data. So you want to click on that. So here's the thing. If you have saved passwords in your platforms, this could wipe them all out. It may or it may not. But you have a bunch of choices here. So you could clear your whole browsing history, your download history gets cleared. Cookies and other site data are pretty good to clear. Cached images and files is usually taking up a lot of memory, so you'll want to get that out. Yep.
Yes.
Usually I'll keep in passwords and other sign-in data. So then you go ahead and clear it. I'm not going to do it because I just don't feel like signing into everything again. And then the other thing that he had me do, I'll show you on Safari in a minute. The other thing he made me do was, I don't know that you'll be able to see it. Do you see my drop down here on the top left?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, so Chrome, and he said, go to About Google Chrome, which I did, and see here, it's checking for updates. I didn't realize that you had to update your Chrome.
Interesting.
Last night, my Chrome wasn't updated, and that was one of the reasons Zoom wasn't integrating with Facebook for me. It was doing everything else normally, but it wasn't doing that integration. There was some kind of a hiccup. I also had to update my Zoom app. All right, so now what I want to do is, let's see. No, I'm not going to worry about it here. You can do similar on Safari, right? So having a hiccup or something's not going right, and it's like my husband always says, if the TV's not working or the remote's not working, he just smacks it on something, or I'll hit the TV, or I'll shut my phone off, start it off. Is equivalent to like smacking your TV, which don't do, or your computer, don't do that. Just clear your browsing data, and hopefully that will make it better. All right, so what I'm going to do is
Great advice, definitely. Restarting. And in a way, that's, I think, what we also have to do in our lives, right? Like sometimes we need to just push the reset button when things are just going down.
Yes.
And then that way we'll recharge and everything will be working dandy again.
So good lead in. So I'm going to introduce my friend Ilhiana. Ilhiana Rojas is a transformation strategy coach and consultant. She is the founder of BeLIVE Coaching and Consulting. And this I love. Ilhiana's mission is to inspire and guide people to create strategies that help them achieve their personal and professional goals through empowering self-transformation. She runs workshops, she runs webinars, she does individual coaching sessions, she offers lectures to groups and into corporations.
Yeah.
What I love is that she's super involved in a bunch of different diversity and inclusion initiatives, and has a particular focus to empower the Hispanic population here in the U.S.
Yes.
I love that Ilhiana's superpower is igniting positivity and empowerment, which is what we're going to talk about today. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you, I know that you had transitioned from corporate into more broad. Tell me more about that and what's happening with you these days.
Yes. So I'm in this new chapter of my life, which is so exciting. I think every now and then in the cycle of our lives, we just open closed chapters and open new ones. And we have to embrace that. Yeah, and it's not a scary thing to do. It's actually an amazing thing that we have to look forward to. And I truly enjoyed my corporate life for over 20 years and did a lot of amazing things that, brought me to where I am right now and have all the experiences and learned a lot of things that now I can, in my new chapter of my life as a coach, be able to then share all those learnings and those experiences with other people that are starting or are midlife through their professional careers, and be able to share with them, to guide them, and be able to say, it's fine, it's okay, nothing happens, it's just life, and let us, walk together towards whatever your end goal is. And that is what's driving me today, using all my past experience. In a way, I think it's accepting that other chapter of my life was over. And that's, I think, a difficult thing to sometimes acknowledge, because it's scary. It's like, how do you jump into the unknown? But I've had good people that surround me that have been by my side. And that's what took me to say, yes, this is closing a door, opening a new one. And here we go. And here we are today.
Well, one of the things I love about how you've created this, and I'm going to leave the corporate side kind of separate for this conversation, but I love that you have your pillars. Like, you've created very clear, almost like, I guess it's a mission statement, but broken up into different sections. If you could tell me about those pillars.
Yes. So, and it actually starts even from my logo, which is, it's, finding harmony, but it's not through a traditional two-sided piece, because in a way we are more than just two sides to a story. And that's what's driving my pillars. In order to have a happy and fulfilling life, which is the number one thing that everybody's looking for in the end, you need to have a good harmony between your, personal self, your inner self, which is BeLIVE, and it's really understanding yourself and loving yourself and building upon your passion and your purpose in life, and then your the Be Success pillar, which is about your professional self, because that's our other self, right? The one that we go to work to every morning, or we do something to feed that professional self and really make sure that is the right path and it's leaning into our life purpose. And a lot of people just see it as that duality between my personal life and my professional life. However, the way I've seen it, and in my experience, we actually have a third level, and that is our mind, and having that growth mindset that keeps pushing both our personal and our professional self to new places. Because when we do not keep pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone and opening new doors and exploring new things and letting ourselves, experience new paths, then that's when getting stuck happens. Either in our lives, personal lives, or in our professional lives. Because we might be in that height, place where we're all happy and everything's perfect. But if we don't keep moving forward and opening those doors and fostering that growth mindset, then that's when getting stuck happens after a while. And to me, that's also very important. And we cannot ignore it in our lives. Even if we think, our life is perfect now, we need to keep pushing ourselves. So that's the B power third pillar that sort of in the end feeds our other two, so that we end up having this harmony in our lives.
Oh, that's awesome. So what are some of the things let's say people get stuck on, and then how do you help them figure it out? There's so many options and so much in this world. How do we even figure out what we want or how to get there?
Yes, that is the question. Sometimes we're stuck and we don't know we're stuck. And I think that's the first thing, recognizing that we're actually stuck. We are so into this, fast-paced environment that we end up doing things just by default. We wake up in the morning, we get ready, we have breakfast, we go to work, we come back, we do whatever chores there are, and then the next day, and then the next day. And we forget that we need to take a pause and start questioning ourselves, like, am I actually doing what I need to be doing? Am I actually enjoying what I'm doing? So the first step is actually even recognizing that we're stuck. Once we recognize that we're stuck, which unfortunately happens when we hit a wall, that's when it's like, something dramatic happens. The second thing would be to reach out. We have this tendency of not asking for help because that makes us vulnerable. And, we don't like to feel vulnerable. So my recommendation would be ask for help. It is a gift, actually. I don't think I've met anybody that has said, I don't want to help. Like, we're all here to help somebody.
True. You're
like
right.
Everybody, every one of us. So if every one of us want to help, not asking for help actually contradicts that thinking. And once you ask for help, in my case, when people ask me for help, it's understanding what your current situation is. It's like going to the doctor, right? You need to first understand what your symptoms are to then be able to give you, a medicine or whatever it is that will then get you back to the place where you feel happy. So the process is, in a way, pretty much the same. Understanding where you are right now, what is the situation that you feel is not working, understanding what their end situation should be where you're going to be happy again, and then helping create that path from where you are to where you need to be. That is, in a nutshell, I would say that is it.
So good. So, all right. So asking for help
Yes.
is number one. And this is what makes me sad. Because what you said is we get stuck in this thing and we do our thing and we have our default thing. And it's not until we hit a wall that we realize that. I mean, what can we do before we hit the wall? Like, why, is there something most of the people who I interact with on the day-to-day in the middle of the week are entrepreneurs, right? And we're just cranking and we're going and we're doing all of the time, and it's the next thing and then the next thing, and then we get distracted, and now we're over here on Zoom for 3 hours with some guy. And how do we what can you tell me? How do we know that we are going to hit a wall before we hit it? Yes.
And that's all about this new trend of mindfulness. And I call it a trend just because it's right now the buzzword, but it's so true. We are so embedded in our, to your point, day-to-day running from one thing to the next and just checking off things off our tasks, the accomplishments that we think we need to do, that we never stop and take 5 minutes to even question, do I actually need to do all these things?
Mm-hmm.
Am I actually doing what I want to do? How do I feel? How do I, it's not about the just check. It's about ourselves. How are we emotionally in that moment? How do we feel about our lives? How do we, making that checkpoint, the way, again, if we look at health right now that everybody's being more conscious, like we all have our, little things that we have, our apps and everything. We're always checking, like, did we sleep right? Did we eat right? Did we do our 10,000 steps right? Did we, like, is our blood pressure where it should be? Like, that is, I think, a perfect example of us taking a pause for our health and making sure that we're doing the right things. It's exactly the same thing in our lives. We need to take a pause and question, are we doing what we are supposed to be doing? What makes us happy? What makes us, feel energized? And if we're not, then that's, I think, the first sign of you might be down the wrong path. And if you don't correct it, you are going to hit a wall.
So good. Now, when you work with people, I know that you work in groups. Let's talk about like groups or individual. Give me an example maybe of somebody, if that feels right to you, like what kind of things are you helping people get through? How would I know, oh man, she's the one I need to talk to?
So there's definitely a lot of things, but the things that I keep hearing, and I went through exactly the same situation, so I get it, is the first unknown is not knowing who we truly are. And that is the biggest thing. We believe that we are, we have an image of ourselves that we inherited from somewhere. Because, we got to there by default, because that's who we think we are, because that's what people have told us, or whatever it is. But in many cases, that image that we have is not necessarily the correct one. So the first thing that people come to me is, I really have realized that I don't know who I am. And I don't know what I want to do in life, right? Because they've hit this wall. What I've been doing for 10, 15, 20 years does not feel right for me anymore. But I don't know now which path to take. And more importantly, then I don't even know what I love. Like, what's my purpose? What's my passion? All of those things. So first, it's uncovering who you are, what you bring to the table, what's your unique essence, because once you have identified that, then you have a clear path on, okay, this is my purpose in this world. We're all here to bring some value to everybody else, and once we're clear about that, then you move forward. And that sort of stems into lack of self-confidence and self-esteem and all these other things that people say, oh my God, this is my issue. But it really, the root of that is not knowing who you are, not having clarity on what your purpose is. And that's where I focus the most, because once that's clear, then everything, all these doors start to open, all these paths start to show.
That's so interesting. It's interesting. It also sounds challenging, and it also sounds a little frightening to all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for so long and it's not really me. It's a story I was telling myself.
Yes.
Do people have that reaction sometimes? Like they resist knowing the truth?
I've had several reactions. But the ones that I love the most is when there's that aha moment of, I thought that part of me, everybody did. we don't realize how unique we are. And especially in our superpowers, we do not realize that they are unique to us.
Oh, yes.
They become so second nature to us, like we do them without even thinking. We think that everybody else can do exactly the same thing. So we underestimate them and we just like push them aside. So once we in the conversations that I have with my clients, once they realize that that's their superpower and that, oh, by the way, only you can do that, and full of people that can do that, and I can't do that, and let me explain that everybody else can't do that. It's like that. Seriously? Like I thought everybody could do that. Like it's just that suddenly like that light bulb comes in. Like, am I really that special because I can do this? They underestimated themselves so long because it just came second nature.
That is so true. That is true. And I guess I'm going to give you a personal insight, right? So when I'm talking to people about digital marketing, and I know that you and I have worked together too, so you've probably had a similar experience with me, is that because I love figuring it all out, and you've been really good about figuring things out too, so I think you can understand how I love to do that. It's like a big puzzle I want to figure out all the time, and I want to make it work so that people, but I've had a few people say to me, Susan, you say to me, just go in and add this to your email signature. Or you will say to me, just go in and schedule out your posts. And when you say to me, Susan, just go in, I want to hide in a corner and cry.
Yes.
Right? And so that's when I realize I have to back up a little bit and say, oh, okay, I guess that's something I'm good at. And I want to bring somebody along. So I have to just start a little bit someplace else, because I do believe it's something people can do, but only if they want to take the time and effort to do it. If they don't, then they can do something else.
But I think you've mentioned something that's two things that are very important to me that we need to again, give ourselves permission. One is you love figuring things out, and I love figuring things out. However, that doesn't mean we figure out things the same way.
Yes.
And we don't figure out the same things. Like you have an expertise on figuring specific things out in a specific way, and I do it in a completely different way and in completely different things. And that is sometimes, again, one of these limiting beliefs that we think, okay, she's a coach, I'm a coach, and we're competing, we're competitors. And we really are not, because although we might like to do, or have these specific superpower, the way you bring it to the table is completely different than the way I bring it to the table. And a perfect example is, for example, hairdressers, right? Like, and especially as women, most of us have a person that we've identified is our hairdresser, right? Like nobody else can cut our hair the way that person does it. And there are thousands of hairdressers out there that most of them probably have 90% or 95% the same knowledge on cutting hair. However, each one of us go to one specific person because they do it exactly the way we like it, or has something that clicks with us the way some others don't. And I've had people say, like, when their hairdresser moves away or
oh my goodness,
or whatever, you want to cry. You're like, oh my God, where am I going to find somebody that's going to do my hair? Yes. Even though there are 1,000 others out there, you cringe because it's that one person that does it the way you want it, because it has that special superpower that connects with you. So that's something that we need to realize, that, again, we might do things that the role is similar to other people, but only we can do it the way we do it. And we connect with people that need exactly what we give.
So true. And I think that, in helping people with their digital marketing, it's probably better if they work with you first, right? Get that, figure out what their superpower is, figure out what their message is, figure out their core values. I mean, a lot of people come to me and we talk about it, but that's not what I coach people on, right? I'm a digital marketer. But it was an interesting conversation because I do work with my main audience is a lot of energy workers, a lot of energy healers, light workers, yogis, Reiki people. And originally I thought, well, how can people, if I put a group program together, would they feel like they were in competition with each other? And the answer is no for everything you just said, but also because they're in different areas. And I have a very enlightened yogi friend who is out here in the Westport area. And she has such a wonderful outlook. She said, look, I offer these classes and I have these teachers and they have this flavor. But I don't have times that meet everybody's. I don't have styles that meet everybody's. And wouldn't it be great if we just all promoted each other's studio so that we are spreading the message where more people are reaching the benefits of yoga, meditation, and energy healing. And that was a really beautiful lesson that she taught to me, that this business owner who really, in a yoga studio, you really have to make every client count. That she was just opening it up to the universe to bring her the people that were meant to work with her.
Exactly. And that actually then goes back to understanding what your what your unique essence is. Because once that's clear, then you understand what you bring to the table. And to what you were saying right now, you can partner with others to say, okay, I bring this part of it, and you complement it with this part of it, and then somebody else complements it with another piece of it. Because we're not experts in everything. And when you're trying to be an expert in everything, then you're actually an expert in nothing. And you're not doing a service to others, and you're not doing a service to yourself. Because we want to be on top of everything. And that really never works. But when you understand and when you're clear what your unique essence is and what your purpose is and who your target consumer is, then you service them 100%. You really give them this gift of figuring, whatever you bring to the table. And you're also open to working with a lot of other people that will complement, because to the example that you were talking about earlier, about a client of yours, not wanting to crawl on the corner because they can't do it. And that's perfectly fine. I've come to terms to accept that there are things that I'm not good at and I can't do. And if I try to do them, it's going to take me 5 hours to do. Yes. And it's okay. I can reach out to others and ask for help. Yes. Very important to say, I'm not an expert, but you're an expert on this. You help me on doing this so that then I can have time to then focus on helping others on what I'm an expert in. And if we're able to do that, then we're all doing, one, what we love to do, and two, getting paid for it, which is also something very important that we're a lot of people are sort of scared or afraid or, have this taboo about, the money. And it's not. It's really an exchange of, you're an expert on something, I'm an expert on something. It's a way to make that exchange of expertise for each other.
Right. So good. So good. Well, oh my gosh, our time went by so fast. I just looked at the clock. That was so good. I know I could talk to you forever. I want to let people know, first of all, how to reach you. So I'm going to why don't you tell me your website? It'll be quick.
Yes. So I have, the website is BeLIVE, BeLIVE, coach.com. So that's my website. And they can also find me on Facebook through BeLIVE Coaching and Consulting, and Instagram through BeLIVE Coaching. And I'm also on Twitter and email and all of those, but those would be like the 3 easiest to connect.
Awesome. I'm going to put those in the in the notes for this interview and also on the
Yes.
Facebook Live here too. And then I saw that you offer a free consultation.
Yes. Yes.
That's pretty nice. Tell me about that.
Yes. So again, the number one barrier for everyone is asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
And we make ourselves these stories that, maybe what if I don't like it? What if this? What if it doesn't work? We start with all these barriers. So I'm like, just take the step. Let's schedule a call. It's easy and we can talk and there's no strings attached. You can't know that things don't work for you if you don't take that initial step to even, know if it works. So that's why I'm giving that offer to encourage people to take that what seems to be an easy step, but it's actually a very difficult one to take. And let's just talk.
It is. We do. We hide behind all of our shields. And can they schedule that right on your website?
They can schedule that right on my website. Yes.
Okay.
Very easily.
So good. I'm going to take this offline and schedule my 45-minute with you. I know we've talked about a lot of things, but I'm like, maybe we focus on me. Maybe I ask for some help. Ilhiana, thank you so much for spending this morning with me.
No, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, good stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording.